Last week, the president miraculously survived an assassination attempt. And now people are claiming they see a UFO in the sky above the rally where it happened. If you didn't already know, this is Inverted World Live. Oh boy, it sure is getting real inverted out there. Today, the current president, who is, I believe, a reanimated corpse, decided not to run for president. And a lot of people are like, I thought this was a paranormal show. It is, because this current president, Joseph Robinette Biden, communicated to the American people that he was stepping down by way of Ouija board. At least that's what I believe. We're under a spiritual attack. Individually, locally, nationally, internationally, and it's spreading by the day. And we're going to talk about it today. I'm Shane Cashman, your host. This is Inverted World Live. I'm joined by Wesley.
What's Glad up, to be back.
This is, what a day. What a week.
Yeah.
What a year. Few years. It's been nonstop. You doing all right?
I'm doing all right.
Making it?
I can't complain.
Very excited to have the guest on today, who we are close friends with. Wesley and I actually traveled to Tennessee to do a show with our guest. That was like a year and change ago. Great time. Most people know him from Cast Castle.
Yes, that is what most people know him from.
Most people.
Yes, most people who know who he is.
And what happened in that episode?
I mean, what didn't happen?
Was there blood?
There was a lot of blood. I don't have the image. I would pull up the image, but yeah, our coworker Aaron abandoned him in a vampire pit to die, but he made it out alive, thankfully.
Yeah. And this is his first real appearance since the vampire pit.
Yes, it is.
In public, right?
As we said, nobody knows him about anything other than that.
but maybe, perhaps, you might also know him from the incredible show called The Confessionals, which is the show we were on. They just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're extremely proud to hear that. Tony deserves it, and it's amazing. I can't wait to talk to him about all of these things. Let's bring on Tony Merkel from The Confessionals.
Welcome, Tony.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. How you doing?
How are you,
Rooster's
brother?
Here.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Man, congrats on 100,000. That's amazing.
Dude, it was a journey, man. It was a journey. I didn't even take YouTube serious until August last year. Nice. I went to a media conference. Attended a media conference, and the very first thing they opened up with, they said that YouTube is the sun that the social media universe revolves around. And I looked at my brother who works for me, and I was like, "You ever hear that before?" And he's like, "Nope." And I was like, "We're gonna learn some stuff." Wow. And we left that conference and with a new motivation for video. And we had to work out a game plan, and we had to, get some things in order. But around October last year, we hit the ground running. In August of last year, we had about 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and wow. we weren't even trying. It was just like a hit and miss. If we uploaded 1 month, and then we'd be gone for like 3. Right. And then we started doing it consistently, though, with an actual, algo of our own. Yep. And it took off, and a year later, we broke 100,000. So
Incredible, dude. We're very proud of you. You deserve it. You work super hard. I love your studio. When Wesley and I were there, it was one of the greatest. I think we did like a 4-hour conversation on the show. Very good time. So a lot of stuff has been happening lately, and so I'm sure you've heard about former President Trump's failed assassination attempt, unless you've been living under a rock in Tennessee, which I doubt. Have you seen this footage of a possible UFO in the sky above the rally?
Yes, I did.
How do you feel? Is it real? Is it a bug? What is Tony Merkel's take on this?
I was thinking about it today because I was planning on, this is actually a great warm up for me, because I was planning on possibly talking about it on my Wednesday morning show.
Perfect.
And I was thinking, like, what exactly is going on here? We have, it does feel like we're living in some kind of designed universe right now, whatever your beliefs are, because, what are the odds, first of all, that the man turns his head at the right moment and, his ear gets pierced? Right. He's got a nice gauge in his ear now. And,
what a very 90s look, too, to have the one earing.
That's what the kids are doing these days, right?
It's the best. Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things where all the craziness that happened around that, he survives the perfect movement. You know, the photo shots that were taken there just were legendary. I mean, I think there was like 2 pictures that came out of that day that, you know, like literally all-time photos.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you know, we got don't get me started on the water tower, because apparently there's this blurry, like a Bigfoot man standing on top of the water tower.
Tony, I'd like to get you started on the water tower.
All right, fine.
Please.
If you just squint just right, it's either a guy with a gun or a Bigfoot. I'm not sure which one. I mean, it's just like,
I like that.
I think it's funny how like everybody wants to, you know, blast the paranormal, go, oh, you see Bigfoot every, oh, dog man, yeah, okay.
Right.
And then they're all over here like, just squint hard enough, you could see a man with an AR on top of the water tower. I'm like, do you understand? That guy is probably like the size of a Nephilim if it's an actual person standing in the water tower. And maybe it isn't.
Maybe. This could be like the great convergence of all of the theories.
You know what? It's reality, true reality unfolding as we know it, right before our eyes. Because then you have the UFO pop in,
exactly,
and you see the metal sphere pop up, and you know it's not just like, you know, we have a lot of different types of UFOs out there. We got the jellyfish UFO, the biological UFOs. We got the discs. We got the ones that are shaped like cigars, the triangles. But it's the Tic Tacs. But the metal sphere UFOs that have been popping up left and right recently, and that seems to be what was there flying through frame. And what I haven't had a chance to look into this, but I think it was Jeremy Corbell recently said that, you know, whether it's a connection that he has or what, somebody told him, and if it's not him, somebody, I heard this from somewhere, it wasn't my original thought. Somebody had said that they were told that the sphere UFOs, the metallic sphere UFOs that are popping up because the other UFOs that we are traditionally used to seeing have been getting shot down by direct energy weapons. And so these are actually drones that are being flown in and out of realms to this realm to do whatever they needed to do. So with that woo-woo craziness that I just dished to you, like, you got another metallic sphere just popping in at the right time. It just seems like it's whether it's this world or the other world, this realm or the next, the inverted world. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, they're peeking through and they're coming through at the right moments. I mean, how many times do we see them interfere with, you know, military pilots in flight? It's like everything that we're seeing, it seems to be strategic and free thought.
Do you think what Corbell is saying is like these are drones sent like an avatar from another place to observe, and like they can somehow avoid the direct energy weapons?
My assumption was that I think, well, whoever said it, I'm pretty sure it was Corbell, said that it was a drone.
Okay.
And my thought is that it's a drone, so if you shoot it down, they're not losing their little demons inside.
Right. So yeah, there's a theory that there are aliens, perhaps demons, as I like to think of them, that are also sent here as drones or avatars for a species far away from behind the curtain.
Like biological meat suits that house demons.
Right. Which are mostly in DC, oddly enough.
Yes.
There's a lot there. That's why there's a thin line between the paranormal world and DC.
One thing you said early in the beginning, you're like, I thought this was a paranormal show. There is a thing called Parapolitics. Not exactly the same thing, but it's pretty close. Parapolitics. Look it up.
That's exactly what this is.
Exopolitics?
That's a new genre.
Yeah, you can just look it up. Parapolitics is basically doing what we're doing now. So
perfect. Can we I want to go a little deeper into this UFO thing. Can we pull up the Martyr Maid tweet? I really liked what this Martyr Maid account said about the UFO above the rally. Yes, UFOs are psychic phenomena that emerge into physical reality from minds in extreme crisis. The mania of the shooter, fantasies of global fame, desperate push past an ingrained prohibition against murder, certainty of his own imminent death was sufficient to conjure it. So what, are we projecting paranormal into the sky now? It's an interesting take. I haven't seen that take.
That's the Stephen Greer.
Okay.
Like, the entire thing is that the whatever these are, they're completely psychic phenomena. and that all you have to do to conjure one is concentrate.
Interesting.
I don't remember what the name of his second movie is, but I watched it during the first week of like lockdown, and yeah, he like goes out in the middle of wherever with a crowd of people. They all sit there and like meditate, and they've got cameras pointed up, and all these lights show up in the sky. And he's like, "See, told you, they're all light beings."
What do you make of that, Tony?
I think that he's conjuring probably demons.
Yeah,
you know,
that sounds about right.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole, meditating and trying to summon these UFOs in and stuff.
Seems like a bad idea.
It just kind of goes with what, you and I think about these things. It goes with what these whistleblowers are saying, like Grush coming out last year talking about, like, he wouldn't say they're interdimensional things, but he was like walking you to the water where he's walking to the cliff and he's like, you can't turn around at this point. You can only go forward. It's like, but there's a cliff. Yeah, you got to jump. Like, you had no other options. You have to say these are interdimensional beings. Yeah. And when you come to the acceptance of that, it explains a lot. Explains a lot. And,
I think so too.
So, I mean, I think that there is technology that, there's a guy I was talking about a couple weeks ago. His name is Charles Bueller, and he has discovered a new form of, he didn't discover anything new. He learned that through, and this is retired trucker turned podcaster description. This is not scientific at all. So, but he basically learned that through static electricity, you can harness that energy as propulsion. And he believes through his calculations that they're pretty close to doing this, but he believes that they could go from Earth's surface to the moon in about 2.5 hours. And he believes that you can go from Earth's surface to Mars in about 5 to 6 days. And using this as propulsion, there's no burning fuels. There's none of that. It's just pure static electricity harnessed the right way, I guess.
So you have to believe in space, though, to believe in this?
You do.
Okay,
and you
so
have to do fake clouds.
Okay, interesting. I'm with you though. I think we're developing stuff like that. That's why I'm also of the mind that this thing we're seeing over the rally could have been us. If it's not a fly, or some smudge on the lens, that it's us doing something. We're the demons.
I mean,
the government
doing the same, right? So I mean, I hadn't even gotten to that part of my thinking. My thought process was just going down the road of, why are these things peeking through at pivotal moments? Why are they showing their face at historical times? And then I started thinking about the spiritual warfare implications of it. But it really could be reverse engineered technology that we have had. I mean, I always draw a blank on this guy's name now. I don't know why. It's happened like 2 weeks in a row for me. The guy who was on Rogan's show, the Bob Lazar. Thank you.
Lazar, yeah.
It was there.
His name is also hard for me to remember sometimes too. I think it's something around the name. Yeah, it's by design. Whoever created Bob Lazar,
it's sorcery. I mean, that's what it is. It's sorcery.
It is sorcery. You got to break through the spell, Tony.
I'm trying, man, but I'm just too dumb. I just gotta sit behind the microphone, keep blabbering. Like, I mean, if Biden can do it for 3.5 years before he has to give up, I can make it. Right?
Oh yeah, dude, you're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think that there is a real possibility that there is reverse engineering that not even possibility. And I do not doubt for a second we've reverse engineered things that have been given to us by fallen angels.
Yeah.
But was that what showed up there? And if it did show up there, is that, evidence of an inside job?
And then, and then what was their goal if there was something there? Some people would say they helped him survive. Other people will say they were there to observe. Everyone's got a different angle on it. If you even want to choose it, right? Oh wait, what'd you say?
Yeah, you're saying that if the UFOs are there, they help survive, or okay,
right?
Well, what if? All right, so I don't know if you guys saw, but there was this guy that had a prophecy back in March about Trump getting shot in the ear. He falls to his knees, finds Jesus on his knees, kind of thing. Well, that guy's, I haven't done a deep dive on the guy or anything, but from what I understand, he's done a lot of prophecies and a lot of them just are trash. Like they don't come true. But this one, he nailed, right?
This one is like a 10 out of 10, right?
He really heard from God this time.
Yeah.
But, what if that regarding that prophecy and the spiritual implications, there was real spiritual warfare going on in that moment. Like in the upside down world, in the inverted world where the demons and fallen angels are warring with God's angels, Michael the archangel, all that is happening in another realm, just on the other side of a veil from us. What if that was going on at that moment because of what was gearing up to happen? And with everything we saw that day was spiritual warfare spilling over into this realm. And seeing the UFO in video is just another piece of evidence of the spiritual warfare happening and spilling over into this realm.
Yeah. I think the curtain between this realm and that realm has been thinning so much the past few years, and like lockdowns really punctured a giant hole in it, which is why I think a lot of people were seeing more UFOs supposedly. It could be psychic phenomena from the trauma of the world collapsing in on itself, or we're really seeing something come through, but it does seem that way. I remember when I was in Georgia writing a book, I talked to this guy who, he claimed to speak to the dead and he knew about the afterlife, and some of it just seemed absurd to me, but he was calling some things that were just so on point, and things that for his family from ancestors that were it was bizarre. And who knows what he was tapped into, but he was constantly saying there's a war that's getting way worse on that side. And he kept saying he's spilling over to this side. I think about that guy a lot. I think that's what's happening. I like that the way you're putting it too. Like it's at the rally, like it's happening at the same time. And what we're seeing could be something just falling on through.
Well, so, I mean, there has been so much, talk about this over the last week, right? I mean, it clearly was a pivotal moment in human existence, in human history.
Yep.
And if there was spiritual warfare going on at that moment, you could, I don't want to say you could as in just anybody generally speaking, but there have been arguments made that not Donald Trump wasn't, really in charge at that moment. It was literally God or an angel that turns his head. Now, Donald Trump himself said that, he was looking at the immigration and immigration saved my life. I think he said that in his speech last night.
Yep.
I thought that was funny, but I don't want to go sidetrack here, but
we'll come back to it.
Yeah, we'll come back to just say comb over. Just say comb over. But so I just think that there could be a spiritual implication where, did an angel directly grab his head and turn it? I don't think so. But could there have been part of the spiritual warfare that was going on? Was there influences on him that allowed him to be in that thought process in that moment, to have him turn his head to look, kind of thing? There's a lot of things, and it's a lot of connecting dots and hoping that dominoes fall the right way to have that line of thinking and stuff. But, just thinking out loud, I think it's very apparent from my worldview that there is a spiritual war going on, whether Trump had an assassination attempt or not. There is that growing spiritual warfare happening. And if we have the lenses to see it, the more you will see it unfolding around you. And you're going to, all the stuff that everybody wants to say that maybe doesn't want to think this way, it's coincidence or it's happenstance. When you start putting the correct lenses on, you start seeing that there's an actual design to this. And you're actually in the middle. There's an actual war and struggle for the human species as a whole and our soul's existence. And it's going on right on the other side of the veil from us.
It's been going on this whole time. And I think a lot of people just inherited that truth when they saw him survive. A lot of people who were not willing to look at that cliff, that you're walked up to, and they experienced it. And for me, the way I'm seeing it now is I see a lot of people walking away with a spiritual attitude, which is great. That God stepped in perhaps, or however you want to see it. That's what I think happened. I don't know what. I think there's a lot of shady stuff that went on. I think it was allowed to happen. There's a whole JFK whiff to the whole thing. But to me, it also seemed like a kind of like a healing moment for people. It was like the bookend to the JFK, where the nation saw a man survive that. We've seen other presidents, we've seen Reagan survive, but there was something about how ratcheted up everything has been with politics and Trump. Everyone's been talking about him being assassinated for months, for years. It's not like this wasn't on the list, and people kept saying it. It wasn't totally out of the blue, and now it feels like it could be an attempt to heal, which I hope so. But it also, on the other end, doesn't feel like we're going to heal. It feels like this is the beginning. Like this might be the end of season 2, where you get like a moment of happiness right before we get way darker.